Hi everyone, I'm Nitika Chopra here for another edition of the Contributors Corner. Today I have one of my dear friends and of course fellow life contributor Natalie Berthold. Thank you so much for being here. Today I wanted to talk to our viewers really about the Reiki healing that you do. I have done many sessions with Natalie, and I think it's something actually I grew up with. I did Reiki throughout my life for different reasons, and so it's not that foreign to me. But I know as a Reiki practitioner, you come across people all the time who don't exactly know what Reiki is or why they should do it, or why you should really kind of take a look at Reiki and see what it can do for your life. So Natalie is going to tell us tell us just simply what Reiki is. What is that?
Reiki, in a nutshell, is universal life force energy. And what this means to the lay person, I know, right? Is that basically we all come into this world via source, whether it's God or whatever you want to call it.
Buddha, Prada, whatever you want to believe, right?
Yeah, and it's this yummy, delicious energy that's very creative. And some people call it prana, chi, ki, whatever. And sometimes we get blockages, or our prana or life force energy gets blocked, or sometimes it's escaping, or sometimes we're sick and we need more of it. So what Reiki, it's actually a hands-on healing modality that reconnects you, or that transmutes or transfers prana or source energy to you. That's in a nutshell. Of course, there's a lot more.
There's so much more. I went to you because I had, skin issues. Like, my thing was always my psoriasis or my arthritis, and that was a more chronic condition.
Right.
So I want you to talk a little bit about, the kinds of conditions you work with. So you work with everything from someone who, has trouble walking, like someone who has arthritis, or somebody who just has maybe like an emotional blockage too, right?
Yeah. I will say, if you're going to a traditional Reiki master healer, it's very passive in the sense that someone just comes, says, I have this and this going on, they lay on the table for an hour and you work on it. And Reiki is said to work on the emotional, physical, and spiritual levels, but sometimes, and Dr. Usui, the guy that reinvented it or invented it, that's debatable, he said he noticed he would cure people and then they'd keep coming back, because the problem is that so many chronic conditions are actually mentally and emotionally based. So our body actually heals in about 300 days, meaning all the cells will turn over. So if you're carrying something beyond a year, it's not physical. It's most likely mental, emotional, or spiritual. It's your thought patterns that are keeping you there. So in a traditional Reiki session, I might just, someone might just do the hands-on healing. But for me, I really like to try to get to the root of the problem. So then I might employ other methods to figure out where the thought patterns are causing the manifestation of the physical illness, or your belief system, or maybe trauma. So it really depends on how active or passive or how involved you want to be in your healing process. Maybe you're not ready to hear the truth. Maybe you just want a temporary buzz and feel good. Right. Or maybe you really want to dig a little deeper and go there. So, yeah.
Well, as I keep saying, I've been to Natalie many times, and I really do recommend that if you have ever had a question about Reiki, or you were ever curious about it, or, if you think that you might have a condition or an emotional conversation going on that really could benefit from, some Reiki healing, you can email Natalie at natalie@yourbellalife.com, and also any of her articles that she writes, leave comments. She always responds. And it's like, having a, on-call Reiki master just like sitting there waiting to hear all of your juicy questions, and really there to help you, which is wonderful. And you also do something, before we go, I really want to touch on family constellation healing, which is a really big conversation, but it's, again, something that I have worked with Natalie on, and, a few other friends and healers that I work with do it with Natalie. And what is family constellation healing? What is that?
So family constellation healing, it's actually family constellation therapy, but it's it's actually been around for a really long time with our ancestry and the Zulu tribes of Africa. This is something that's very tribal, and the tribes have been doing for thousands of years, but it's something that Dr. Bert Hellinger actually made into like a psychotherapy modality. And I love it because it's very compassionate. Oftentimes you go to a therapist and you sit on a couch and you rehash old crap and you blame mom and dad and whatever, and the idea with family constellation therapy is realizing that we are entangled and enmeshed oftentimes with family members and ancestry's junk or patterns, but it's because there's so much love and loyalty there. I mean, as a human being, one of our biggest fears, or probably our biggest fear, is being like the black sheep or being outcast. So oftentimes if you know, rise and shine or are doing things that are above and beyond your family, your biggest fear is that they're not going to accept you and love you, and your tribe is your survival. So maybe you nix that and then you continue to not make money or have disease or whatever, but you see when you set up the family constellation that you're following these family members out of love. And so the healing modality, in a nutshell, and it's very complicated to explain, I really recommend it as you experience it, as you have, but a client will come in with an issue, it could be anything, and then they choose people to represent themselves, their mom, their dad, and so forth. And these other people, strangers who don't know your story, come into this space, which is called the knowing field, right? Because we're all interconnected. And they just magically, and that's the other beautiful thing, it's a mystery how it works, it's so magical. People just start acting out a scenario or a span of your life that you need to see to understand how this pattern manifested. And you're the observer, which is so powerful. You're not in it, you're the outsider watching it, and it just creates such a knowing and observing it, and it creates so much. You see that everyone's coming from a place of, you know, maybe your dad got the pattern from his dad, etc., and you take away the blame and you're filled with compassion. Yeah. And then you do some healing around it to let that pattern go. But again, it's very complicated.
It's a big conversation, and I really appreciate you starting to touch on the conversation. And it's really both of these things. I mean, I would say family constellation specifically is really, if you're ready to kind of unveil the more intuitive, spiritual, I mean, I'm not afraid to say the word spiritual side of yourself. If you're open to doing that, you don't have to be a master, you don't have to have all the answers. You just really, in all of this work, you just have to be open to it. And that's the biggest thing, and it's exciting. And I think actually I was terrified to go to family constellation. I can say that honestly. I made up every excuse. I was like, oh no, I'm caught in the subway, I can't hear you. Okay, I'll see you next time. And finally, literally that's what I did. And finally I ended up going, and now I'm obsessed with it because it's opened up this intuitive muscle that I knew was there, but I didn't understand how to activate it. And it's really, 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 really cool. So definitely hit up Natalie. She's ready and waiting for you to ask her questions. She's available for private healing, which I highly recommend. And you are more than welcome to email me anytime to ask me about it and my experiences. Thank you so much for watching, Natalie. I love you so much. Thank you for having me here.
I love you too.
I love you. I love all of you. And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.